Hey, everybody, or soon to be everybody. I don't know who we've got yet. I'm just making sure with these headphones that I've actually got some sound, and it looks like I do. So these are coming off. All right. One second. Good evening. Welcome. Welcome to year 6 of the Fadó live read through of A Christmas Carol. Now, let's see. We've done this this is the 6th year. Last year was, I wanted to at least make it to 2025 or make it to 5 years. And we've beaten that. We've gotten to 2025 and we're now 6 years in. I don't have any intention of stopping doing this. I think it's going pretty well. I'm pretty happy to be here. So, before we get rolling, we'll have take some time here for folks to get into the room, and I am watching the chat here as soon as I can figure it. So I thought I was excited because I thought I had OBS set up so that my chat was going to be right here. As it turns out, it's way over here. And I see Zach and Liz. Hi guys, welcome to the stream. I'm really glad to see you here. I'm looking forward to seeing who shows up this year. I know we've got some folks that tend to come back year after year, but I'm really looking forward to seeing who it is. And also Kyle. Hey Kyle, welcome to. I guess this is your first year watching, and I hope that you make it all the way to the end. If you do, I don't know. I'll bring you a cookie or something. But we're going to give it a few minutes and see who comes in. If you generally, we're going to we're trying to get generally give it a few minutes before I get started into anything super important like reading or anything like that. But what I am going to do is see if I can bring this down here, and I'm going to go 2/3, 1/3 with the control room and the stream. So that's going to be good. That's going to be much better. Let's see who we end up with before we get rolling here. Can I pop this chat out? It would be super cool if I could pop this chat out. Pop out dashboard. Pop out dashboard. That's everything I don't want to see. YouTube is so unhelpful to me sometimes. For years now, I've just wanted a good picture of who's in the room, but it's so hard to tell. Michael Crosa, you son of a gun. Welcome to the chat. Welcome to year 6. And you are, have you been here every year? Have you done every year? I think maybe you have. Happy give thanksing. Happy givey haps thanking to you as well. And so, now it's happening. Now we're getting some folks popping in. So, generally I like to hang out, chat for the first 20, 25 minutes and get rolling with the reading after that. So there's a little bit of an opportunity. And, we're gonna, let's see. So sorry, with sleeping toddler and rural internet. Well, if you pop in and out, I won't hold it against you. Rural internet and a sleeping toddler. I mean, the odds are stacked against you, man, but I believe in you. You can do this. Welcome to our chat. I don't need to know this. This is everybody else's problem. Okay, cool. What if I, hang on, I'm going to pop this over here. I'm just doing a little arranging here to make sure I have things where I need them. That's probably better. I don't need to see my big old face. The numbers are over here. Now I've got a big old chat box right here. And there would be the lunatics tuning in from the great big burg of New York City. It's good to see you. I assume both of the lunatics are there, but one or both of you would be great. One or the other or both. I'll take whatever I can get. We are fantastic. I have It's great to see you. No problem, Crosa. No problem at all. I know you're not going to let me down. I know, even if you know what, even if your toddler woke up, even if your internet went down, I know you would find a way. Just to get, maybe you drive here and burst into my my computer room here. But yeah, fantastic. Welcome everyone. Welcome back. Welcome to my newcomers. My newcomer so far. All right. So this, just as a refresher, and this is, just Kyle, you're new entirely. So here's how this works. Every week, every Thursday, on the Thursday, I'm going to read one of the 5 staves of A Christmas Carol, culminating with Christmas Eve, which this year happens to be on a Wednesday. The first year I did it, it was all Thursdays, and it worked out really well. So but it's like, it hasn't been that way since, but what I generally do, start on Thanksgiving, and I go every Thursday until Christmas, and then Christmas Eve or Thursday, whichever comes first. And so that's where we are. So it'll be every Thursday night from 9:00 to whenever. It varies because the size of the chapter varies considerably. We'll do some trivia. I'm going to try and break out some Jackbox games and see if we can do that. All of that, though, is part of the game. And I still have the same roll of tickets that I bought the first year, because we use a bunch of them, but it's a big roll. And so here's how this works. There's a raffle at night 5 every year. And what I have been giving away traditionally, and you can see right here, is a facsimile copy of the first edition of A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, written in 1843, if memory serves. And this is a facsimile copy just as it appeared when it was first printed, which you can't see super well because of the lighting, which I worked very hard on, but it's not good for print. Let me see. But you can see there's a lot of let's see if we can get the light. You can just like a lot of the handwritten notes that Dickens had in the first thing. There are the original illustrations in there. Anyway, it's a cool little copy of A Christmas Carol, and I sign it and send it to whoever wins the raffle. How does the raffle work, you might ask? Well, for being here every night, you get one of these tickets in the official Christmas Carol raffle hat, the top hat, which I purchased for a costume many, many years ago and has now become the raffle hat, currently empty. And your name will go in that hat for as one entry. So for being here at the stream, if you make it to all 5 streams, then you get an additional entry. So that's a total of 6. And now I'll be throwing in a bunch here and there for various reasons. Usually it's like trivia, or if we play a Jackbox game, the winner gets an entry, things like that. And I've also, sometimes I'll do like, we'll do a choice for like, if you win, if you get a question right or something, I'll give you a free random Steam code, because sometimes I'll just buy a 10-pack of random Steam codes. It could be anything. And, you get that. So I don't know how much of that we'll do tonight. A lot of tonight is just kind of, introductory. We'll make sure but then the subsequent nights we do a lot of that. And then night 5 is super short. Usually, it doesn't take very long at all. Stave 5 is super short. But anyway, so that's how everything generally works. And throughout the course, I have a variety of snacks and drinks and just cozy stuff. Let's see, is it week 4 is pizza rice night, which we'll get to. Just if you're here for the ride, we'll address that. It's a lot to take in. Just try and hang in there. But night 4 is pizza rice night, which we'll talk about. Night 5, also, since it's such a short night, I make my annual Christmas pudding, British style Christmas pudding, which makes an appearance in the book. But also, not only do I make said pudding, but I set it on fire live on YouTube, which, is risky. I don't want to be famous for catching myself on fire on YouTube, but all safety precautions are taken. It's fine. It's safe. It's fine. How bad could it be? So let me catch up with some comments, and I need to go down the list here and make sure that I get everybody who's here. You have to comment in order to get your name in the hat, obviously, because I don't know you're there because YouTube doesn't tell me. So, but yes, I'll get that in a second. Look, I gotta go down the comments. So we got Happy Thanksgiving, which I think I addressed. Yes, Happy Thanksgiving. Lunatics are here. I believe in Crosa. Abby and Alan are both here. Fun fact, yours was the first Christmas card I addressed because it's one of the few addresses I have memorized, sans zip code. Hey, man, that's awesome. Now, I knew your, oh gosh, I knew your Austin address pretty well, but I'm not going to go reciting your address on a live stream. We're not going to do that. But I think I remember at least the town next to the big city of Chattanooga where you are. So I'm pretty sure I remember that part. Okay. And so you can't see it because the camera's a little low, but I still have some of my first here. Let's see. This is fun. Hold on. We're going to scooch this up. You will still see the back of a Cinnamon Toast Crunch box that Crosa sent to me as a postcard. And I still have a little drawing from Abby, and I have postcards, the original Fadó etched wooden laser circle thing there. We got all kinds of stuff back here. Okay, so now we're coming back down. We're coming back down. We're coming back down. I think it was about right there. Nice. Okay, so your name. Wait, hold on. Wait, pizza rice is in your heart, right next to the cholesterol. Yes. So the thing about pizza rice, it is sort of an in joke between, the Pizza Rice Podcasting Collective. Collective? It was collective. Pizza Rice Podcasting Collective. Anyway, the impromptu podcasting network that we formed back in 2020 when we all met as podcasters. It was me, the Lunatics Radio Hour, Jollyville Radio, and Bob's Story Hour. Which hopefully we'll see Bob at some point. Again, I miss Bob. I haven't seen Bob in a long time. Anyway, those 4 podcasts in 2020, we all sort of got together, formed the Pizza Rice Podcasting Collective. The Pizza Rice is a reference in Jollyville. But what's important is when you hear Pizza Rice, you don't have to be told what it is. You already know what it is. And as such, Pizza Rice night 4, you get collaborative. You're right. But Pizza Rice night 4, you're encouraged to make your own pizza rice. Send me pictures. We can do a slideshow if you send me ahead of whatever. But Pizza Rice night, I'm gonna make my little pizza rice and have it for dinner. And it's just a thing. It's now a festive holiday dish that but you can't look it up. You can't use a recipe. You know what pizza rice is. Just make it. That's how pizza rice has to happen. That's the rule. Okay. So, let's get some tickets out here because I got to put some names in before my screen starts scrolling up too far. I'm going to get these off of here. Handy dandy pen. This is the fountain pen with which I wrote everything in that game journal, Abby, just so you know. We'll talk about that too. Probably talk about that. It's pretty fun. Okay, so right. So first we have the literals. And I'll say that because your name is right there in the username. You know, I try to be careful. Okay. That's going in. We have... I'm going to write... we're going to write... I'm going to write Kibbity for Kyle, because that's the username that you keep using. So I'm just going to go with that. So, we got Crosa. We got Abby. Wait, so never unbuckled R4B. Is that Alan? Okay. So that's another little sort of rule, is that if you comment as yourself, you get your name in. So that's a way to game the system for those of you who are doubled up, is to create a second account as yourself and get in and comment. And then you load the system up that way. Okay, so that's everybody. That is all right. And we've got hello, KL6U0. Is this your first time here? Are you new to the stream? Or do I know you already? Like, if we win, will you teach us how to repair pillows? So I do know you. Oh, AK, is that you, Alan? Wait, who's never unbuckled? If that's not, who's never unbuckled? I got you in there, Alan. Alan is everywhere. Okay, so if never unbuckled, if you're still here, I need to know who you, so I can write never unbuckled if you like, but I'm going to eventually have to know who you are to send it to you. So yes, I'd be happy to teach you how to fix pinball machines. The newer pinball machines are a whole lot simpler than the older pinball machines. I'll tell you that much. Oh my gosh. Are they, the older ones are like, it's like Nikola Tesla in there, like old relays and coils of wire, and oh, it's wild. AK is Alan. Okay. So yes, never unbuckled. I can put, for now, we'll put never unbuckled. I just got to figure out who you are. All right. But I should also say you do need to be present night 5. Well, have we done that? No. You don't have to be. Well, you do, because I have to call your name and I have to get your address and stuff. So if you're present, that's kind of how we'll do it. Okay. So even if you miss everything else, show up night 5 for the raffle. Okay, wait. If we win, I was everywhere. Orby. I forgot about this stuff. That's fun. Oh man, that's good. All right, so yeah, never unbuckled R4B. You let me know. I'll put your name's in there, but I'm gonna have to. It's on you. You got to come back if you win. Awesome. So while we're gearing up here, what I have for this week's festive drink, that as advertised in the splash screen, right? We have this little Hershey's milk chocolate hot chocolate bomb, right? Now I'm going to be putting this together. I have here my festive dinosaur mug, and I have some hot milk over here in a cup that has been it's in my fake Stanley, this little guy. And so I'm going to get this bomb out. We're going to do this hot chocolate bomb that is a little bit out of date, but that's the festive one tonight. The festive drink tonight. The snack, I don't know. I got a variety, which Orby Bonkers is fantastic, and I think should stand as kind of your name forever and ever. All right, so let's see if I don't know how well this is going to pour. Oh gosh. Oh, I'm a barista. I am a barista. I sure hope that melts. 8 ounces of hot milk. What I hotted up myself downstairs. And last year I bought myself one of those little hot plates, like the little where you set your mug on it and it keeps your mug warm. So we're going to see if that actually works, or if I just end up with cold hot chocolate. Cold hot chocolate. Oh, there's marshmallows. Well, I hope this works. I'm just going to keep stirring. So let's see, have we got anybody else? Everybody's still good? Yeah, so the milk, I took it serious. I got it on the stove and everything. So What I'm confused about is there's no cocoa powder. This has got to be all of that chocolate, all of the just the ball. So I got to keep stirring until it's actually mixed up. Red dinosaur. Okay, it's working. It's kind of working. I love this. We got 8 concurrent viewers right now, which is pretty strong for night 1. Oh, okay. Oh, it just happened to see you're getting into fountain pens too. I love a good fountain pen. I don't write nearly as much as I want to with a pen, but I went through a spell where I was buying lots of fountain pens, and the best one, my favorite one, I have this. It's a pocket one from Kaweco, which is a German company, and they make really great pens. And that's my favorite one that I have. I'll have to, if I can remember it, I'll bring it one night to the stream and you can see it. But yeah, I wrote that journal entry. Okay. So real quick, what time is it? How are we doing? I don't have, it is, oh good. Okay. We're doing good. Next 10 minutes or so, we'll get going on the story. But I just started a game called Tether with Abby here, and it's fun because the premise of Tether is it's a 2-person game, and you're playing with the other person by writing entries into a journal, and the journal is kind of this magic journal that separates 2 people by a generation, like 30 years. Or 30 or so years. You live in the same town. You're writing in the same journal that is 30 years separating you. So it's got, the vibe is kind of eldritch horror or something like it's like Stephen King's like It, like some kind of terrible, horrible thing is happening in the town, and you got to figure out what it is, and you can only communicate to each other through this journal. So I just sent the first one up, and I'm excited to see how it goes. I'm still stirring. There's still goop on my spoon. I don't know if this is going to work, but hey, it's festive. Yes, I would love to see your pens. I have not nearly as many as I would have if I let myself nerd out about fountain pens. There's one I have as my, I'll just say my grandpa, but he had a fountain pen that he kept in his pocket. It is not in working condition, and I would love to get it, like, to restore it, clean it out and condition it so that I could actually use it. Well, I gotta see it. I gotta see this. I'm really disappointed that I did not buy one of those. They're all the rage this year, the cocoa toppers. It's like a little round marshmallow with like sprinkles on it. You just drop it in, and anyway, didn't do that. Can you hear me stirring? How loud is the stirring? And yes, we're sending the journal back and forth in the mail. So this is analog, like, journal entries. We're not doing a shared Google Doc. That's just not how we roll. Oh, 1,000-Year-Old Vampire. I have started it, but I haven't finished it. Although my wife has played it. She really likes it enough that she started it, and when we had the opportunity, we bought the hardback. And so, yes, super cool game. I haven't finished mine yet. There's that one, and then there's one called, the one that I like is called The Lighthouse at the End of the World, which is like you're a caretaker for a lighthouse way off in the middle of nowhere. And there's ghosts and things like that. There's a huge boom in those solo journaling games now. There's tons of them. I have a bunch that I need to get into, and we bought some more at Gen Con this year. Oh, the stirring is pleasant. Oh, good. I'm so glad, because there's a lot of it going on. I think maybe I've gotten there. All of my marshmallows have dissolved. Okay, so let's try it here. Well, it turned out to be hot cocoa. It does appear to be still hot. Hopefully my little doodad over here will do its job. Yeah. I'm going to do an analog podcast. I don't know how you do that. It would be like, okay. You just go outside and yell into the air. Oh yeah. Absolutely. Lighthouse at the End of the World. Absolutely. The great thing is like on it's like itch.io or drive through RPG or something. You can buy the PDF, print it out yourself, or just read it from the tablet or whatever. And it doesn't, yeah, it's cool. It's such a fun, method of just playing a game without having to have a bunch of people and rules and stuff. Tether. Oh yeah. Yes. Tether. Okay. Absolutely. And you can, yeah, Tether is lending itself really, I think it's going to be super fun. Really looking forward to it. I haven't missed anything, have I? Let me get back up here. Have you ever played Thousand Year of Vampire? I answered that. Only oh, that's cool. Yeah. Yeah. So Thousand Year Old Vampire is really good. And it like limits you in really cool ways. And you've got to be really, careful about the like what you hold on to and what you don't. And a dinner party. Yeah, that's you. That's where you sit around a Thanksgiving table and you're like, "Can I blow your mind right now? Don't love your job, job your love." Yeah, and people at Thanksgiving are like, "Would you shut up and please eat your turkey or leave?" Just. Oh, let's see. I'm putting on the professorial glasses here. Is sound okay? Sound level all right? You can hear my voice. I'm telling you what. I'm reading off of the Kindle Scribe this year because it's backlit, easy to turn pages, and doesn't get in the way. There's no flipping around and things, and so we've got that going on. 10 out of 10 on the sound. Eat your turkey, you turkey. And so hopefully when I lean back and get comfortable to read, then we'll be okay. This is my Rode podcaster mic, which is, I love it. I have the XLR version over there, but I don't have the power to power it. I need to get some kind of good mixer or something, or what do they call it? A cloud lifter, the little whatever, something like that. It just, yeah, I can't power it. Okay. How are we doing? Oh, we're doing good. All right. So we've got 9:27. I'm feeling good about 9:27. So, okay, let's make sure everything is good. Everything is good. So I am going to read the first stave tonight, and as I said, it's one stave every week. And see, a parlor music songbook. I foresee a singing dinner party in my. That's cool. I can't think of Rattlin' Bog without thinking of you now, because the Wiggles version is inextricably tied to you, and that is, yeah. So if you have not experienced the Wiggles version of the Rattlin' Bog, you need to look that up. Because if you haven't heard Rattlin' Bog, it's one of those songs where it builds on itself, and each verse is a little bit longer because it's, a nest on the limb, on the branch, on the tree, and the hole in the bog. And it goes on and on and on. But between verses, or during verses, they've got a guy dressed up as a tree who's absolutely throwing it down with his dance moves. Everybody is just like normal dancing for the Wiggles, and this guy is just... and it's so funny. It's so funny because the tree is getting it. And you're welcome, Crosa. You are my personal Wiggle from here on out. Yeah, but yeah, I recommend checking that out. And so Alan, need sound stuff is a strong word. Could I fiddle around with sound stuff? Absolutely. But yeah. The recent version of Rattlin' Bog, just look it up. Look up Rattlin' Bog Dancing Tree on YouTube. You cannot miss it. You'll know when you get there. So anyway, yeah. the hold on. My keyboard tray will not retract properly, and here I sit trying my best not to kill anything. There we go. Now, we are at 9:35. Perfect. We're doing great. Oh, tonight's snack. So let me. Okay, before we get into the reading, well, I'll do this and then we'll get into the reading. Or I can. Well, no, I'll do this and we'll get into the reading. So this year, I usually go to World Market in Columbus to get some of the international like Christmas stuff and things like that. So much stuff that you don't need. Well, okay, we'll talk. We'll have plenty of opportunities. Anyway, I usually go to World Market. This year, I went back to Jungle Gyms. Jungle Gyms, if you're not familiar, is a store there's two of them. There's only two of them, and they're located in Cincinnati, Ohio. In Jungle Gyms, Jungle Gyms, picture a Walmart, something the size of a big old super Walmart, right? But what it is an international supermarket. So they have everything labeled by country in this main section. And you can just basically everything, like you walk through the continent like of Asia, and then there's like all of Europe is in a section, and you got some everything from Japanese to Russian to Italy, England, Germany, all of these all of this stuff. And then on top of that, they have international produce like strange fruits and things like that. They've got meat and cheese, like a section that is just cheese and like charcuterie type meat, salamis and things like that. And then there is a whole big wine and beer section that's got all kinds of international stuff. They are incredible. It's worth driving to Cincinnati for if you're in the area, or maybe flying if you're further away. I don't know. It's super cool. I don't know how you'd ever get your stuff home. Anyway, I went there this year for some of my international Christmas stuff that I usually pick up. I've usually got a stack of stuff. So this year, I picked up this La Florentine Panforte. It's a very dense dessert bread from Italy, which is somewhat Christmassy there, not so much Christmassy here. But this one is it's a super dense, nutty bread. The name Panforte literally means strong bread. So we've got that. We also heralding from Italy, we have the teeny tiny panettone, which is a little chocolate chip panettone. It's a fluffy. We have most years when I make the pudding, right? The pudding is it's a plum pudding, right? It's a plum Christmas pudding. But this year I actually found this. This is actually figgy pudding. There's actually a fig pudding. So I found that to try this year. Teeny tiny plum pudding, right? This was like the one that I make. All of this stuff just, yeah. Whoa, I'm knocking stuff over. Wait a minute. We found this tiny little, not tiny, that was tiny little pudding. We found chocolate coins, which usually are absolutely terrible, but these are Cadbury. These are Cadbury chocolate coins, like the good stuff. I couldn't believe I found them. And then finally we have this Swedish peppermint stick, which I am super excited to try, which maybe after the reading we'll get into that. But neither here nor there. You will happily exchange audio equipment for cookies. That's the easiest trade I've ever made. I will double your supply for that. We'll see how it goes. All right. I think we're there, folks. I am hopeful that this chocolate lasts throughout the evening. I have another spoon. Where did that other spoon come from? I got spoons everywhere. All right. So we are this is it, folks. We're getting ready to start Stave 1 of Charles Dickens' most famous work, most enduring work, I would say. And written in 1850 or 1843. And I did episodes on this back in 2020 of Fadó, which is where it all started. But this is the story that is responsible for solidifying kind of the traditional European Victorian Christmas, the one that has sort of endured up to now. It's the reason that so much of what we have, Christmas carols and Christmas trees and all of the food and things. This is the book that solidified it. I'm not saying it created that tradition, but it solidified that tradition in England at the time. And it was, it is why they do Christmas the way that they do. It captured that sort of a snapshot of a Victorian Christmas and created that traditional Christmas. He hides them from you. Oh no. Well, I can't blame him. I love the cookies too. It's why I make them. But they do. Yeah. I don't know what I can't help you. It depends on who gets to the mail first, right? Like if you get the package first, I don't know. There's not much I can do to help. I don't know. I don't know what to do. Maybe I can send 2 separate packages, but that still creates the same problem. I don't know how we figure this out. Anyway, so we are, I think we're ready to go. Is everyone ready? I mean, obviously you're here. I'm here. So once I get started reading, I don't really get to the comments until the end of the stave. So, I'll see you at the end, basically. I'll answer comments at the end if I can. And let's go. All right, let's see now. I'm going to lean back. Because leaning forward is difficult. All right, so lean back in the chair. You know what I need to do is figure out something to write. If this is a chalkboard wall, I need to find something to write there. Yeah, you hide them back. Okay. So anyway, let me know if the sound is still good. I think it is. I haven't changed my position too much, so this should be fine. And all right, here we go. This is as written by Charles Dickens in 1843, A Christmas Carol. Stave 1. Marley's Ghost. Marley was dead to begin with. There is no doubt whatever about that. The register of his burial was signed by the clergyman, the clerk, the undertaker, and the chief mourner. Scrooge signed it, and Scrooge's name was good upon change for anything he chose to put his hand to. Old Marley was as dead as a doornail. Mind, I don't mean to say that I know of my knowledge what there is particularly dead about a doornail. I might have been inclined myself to regard a coffin nail as the deadest piece of ironmongery in the trade. But the wisdom of our ancestors is in the simile, and my unhallowed hands shall not disturb it, or the country's done for. You will therefore permit me to repeat emphatically that Marley was as dead as a doornail. Scrooge knew he was dead? Of course he did. How could it be otherwise? Scrooge and he were partners for I don't know how many years. Scrooge was his sole executor, his sole administrator, his sole assign, his sole residuary legatee, his sole friend, and sole mourner. And even Scrooge was not so dreadfully cut up by the sad event, but that he was an excellent man of business on the very day of the funeral, and solemnized it with an undoubted bargain. The mention of Marley's funeral brings me back to the point that I started from. There is no doubt that Marley was dead. This must be distinctly understood, or nothing wonderful can come of the story I'm going to relate. If he were not perfectly convinced that Hamlet's father died before the play began, there would be nothing more remarkable in his taking a stroll at night in an easterly wind upon his own ramparts than there would be in any other middle-aged gentleman rashly turning out after dark in a breezy spot, say St. Paul's churchyard, for instance, literally to astonish his son's weak mind. Scrooge never painted out old Marley's name. There it stood years afterward above the warehouse door. Scrooge and Marley. The firm was known as Scrooge and Marley. Sometimes people new to the business called Scrooge Scrooge, and sometimes Marley, but he answered to both names. It was all the same to him. Oh, but he was a tight-fisted hand at the grindstone, Scrooge. A squeezing, wrenching, grasping, scraping, clutching, covetous old sinner. hard and sharp as flint, from which no steel had ever struck out generous fire, secret and self-contained and solitary as an oyster. The cold within him froze his old features, nipped his pointed nose, shriveled his cheek, stiffened his gait, made his eyes red, his thin lips blue, and he spoke out shrewdly in a grating voice. A frosty rime was on his head and on his eyebrows and his wiry chin. He carried his own low temperature always about with him. He iced his He iced his office in the dog days and didn't thaw it 1 degree at Christmas. Didn't have iced coffee in the Victorian era. I'm continuing. External heat and cold had little influence on Scrooge. No warmth could warm, no wintry weather chill him. No wind that blew was bitterer than he. No falling snow was more intent upon its purpose. No pelting rain less open to entreaty. Foul weather didn't know where to have him. The heaviest rain and snow and hail and sleet could boast of the advantage over him in only one respect. They often came down handsomely, and Scrooge never did. Nobody ever stopped him in the street to say with gladsome looks, "My dear Scrooge, how are you? When will you come and see me?" No beggars implored him to bestow a trifle. No children asked him what it was o'clock. No man or woman ever once in all his life inquired the way to such and such a place of Scrooge. Even the blind men's dogs appeared to know him, and when they saw him coming on, would tug their owners into doorways and up courts, and would wag their tails as though they said, "No eye at all is better than an evil eye, dark master." But what did Scrooge care? It was the very thing he liked, to edge his way along the crowded paths of life, warning all human sympathy to keep its distance, was what the knowing ones called nuts to Scrooge. Once upon a time, of all the good days in the year, on Christmas Eve, old Scrooge sat busy in his counting house. It was cold, bleak, biting weather, foggy withal, and he could hear the people in the court outside go wheezing up and down, beating their hands upon their breasts, and stamping their feet upon the pavement stones to warm them. The city clocks had only just gone 3, but it was quite dark already. It had not been light all day, and candles were flaring in the windows of the neighboring offices like ruddy smears upon the palpable brown air. The fog came pouring in at every chink and keyhole, and was so dense without that although the court was of the narrowest, the houses opposite were mere phantoms. To see the dingy cloud come drooping down, obscuring everything, one might have thought that nature lived hard by and was brewing on a large scale. The door of Scrooge's counting house was open that he might keep his eye upon his clerk, who in a dismal little cell beyond, a sort of tank, was copying letters. Scrooge had a very small fire, but the clerk's fire was so very much smaller that it looked like one coal. But he couldn't replenish it, for Scrooge kept the coal box in his own room, and so surely as the clerk came in with the shovel, the master predicted that it would be necessary for them to part. Wherefore, the clerk put on his white comforter and tried to warm himself at the candle, in which effort, not being a man of strong imagination, he failed. "A Merry Christmas, Uncle! God save you!" cried a cheerful voice. It was the voice of Scrooge's nephew, who came upon him so quickly that this was the first intimation he had of his approach. "Bah!" said Scrooge. "Humbug!" He had so heated himself with rapid walking in the fog and frost, this nephew of Scrooge's, that he was all in a glow. His face was ruddy and handsome. His eyes sparkled and his breath smoked again. "Christmas a humbug, Uncle," said Scrooge's nephew. "You don't mean that, I'm sure." "I do," said Scrooge. "Merry Christmas! What right have you to be merry? What reason have you to be merry? You're poor enough." "Come then," returned the nephew gaily. "What right do you have to be dismal? What reason have you to be morose? You're rich enough." Scrooge, having no better ready answer on the spur of the moment, said "Bah!" again, and followed it up with "Humbug!" "Don't be cross, Uncle," said the nephew. "What else can I be," returned the uncle, "when I live in such a world of fools as this? Merry Christmas! Out upon Merry Christmas! What's Christmas time to you but a time for paying bills without money, a time for finding yourself a year older but not an hour richer, a time for balancing your books and having every item in 'em through a round dozen months presented dead against you? If I could work my will, said Scrooge indignantly, every idiot who goes about with Merry Christmas on his lips should be boiled with his own pudding and buried with a stake of holly through his heart. He should. Uncle, pleaded the nephew. Nephew, returned the uncle sternly, keep Christmas in your own way and let me keep it in mine. Keep it, repeated Scrooge's nephew, but you don't keep it. Let me leave it alone then, said Scrooge. Much good may it do you, much good it has ever done you. There are many things from which I might have derived good, by which I have not profited, I dare say, returned the nephew, Christmas among the rest. But I'm sure I've always thought of Christmas time, when it has come round, apart from the veneration due its sacred name and origin, if anything belonging to it can be apart from that, as a good time, a kind, forgiving, charitable, pleasant time, the only time I know of in the long calendar of the year, when men and women seem by one consent to open their shut-up hearts freely, and to think of people below them as if they really were fellow passengers to the grave, and not another race of creatures bound on other journeys. And therefore, uncle, though it has never put a scrap of gold or silver in my pocket, I believe it has done me good, and will do me good, and I say, God bless it. The clerk in the tank involuntarily applauded. Becoming immediately sensible of the impropriety, he poked the fire and extinguished the last frail spark forever. Let me hear another sound from you, said Scrooge, and you'll keep your Christmas by losing your situation. You're quite a powerful speaker, sir, he added, turning to his nephew. I wonder you don't go into Parliament. Don't be angry, uncle. Come, dine with us tomorrow. Scrooge said that he would see him. Yes, indeed he did. When he went the whole and he went the whole length of the expression, and said that he would see him in that extremity first. But why? Cried Scrooge's nephew. Why? Why did you get married? Said Scrooge. Because I fell in love. Because you fell in love, growled Scrooge, as if that were the only one thing in the world more ridiculous than a Merry Christmas. Good afternoon. Nay, uncle, but you never came to see me before that happened. Why give it as a reason for not coming now? Good afternoon, said Scrooge. I want nothing from you. I ask nothing of you. Why cannot we be friends? Good afternoon, said Scrooge. I am sorry with all my heart to find you so resolute. We have never had any quarrel to which I've been a party, but I've made the trial in homage to Christmas, and I'll keep my Christmas humor to the last. So a Merry Christmas, uncle. Good afternoon, said Scrooge. And a Happy New Year. Good afternoon, said Scrooge. His nephew left the room without an angry word, notwithstanding. He stopped at the outer door to bestow the greetings of the season on the clerk, who, cold as he was warmer than Scrooge, for he returned them cordially. There's another fellow, muttered Scrooge, who overheard him. My clerk, with 15 shillings a week and a wife and family, talking about Merry Christmas. I'll retire to Bedlam. This lunatic, in letting Scrooge's nephew out, had let 2 other people in. They were portly gentlemen, pleasant to behold, and now stood with their hats off in Scrooge's office. They had books and papers in their hands and bowed to him. Scrooge and Marley's, I believe, said one of the gentlemen, referring to the list. Have I the pleasure of addressing Mr. Scrooge or Mr. Marley? Mr. Marley's been dead these 7 years, Scrooge replied. He died 7 years ago this very night. We have no doubt his liberality is well represented by his surviving partner, said the gentleman, presenting his credentials. It certainly was, for they had been 2 kindred spirits. At the ominous word liberality, Scrooge frowned and shook his head and handed the credentials back. At this festive season of the year, Mr. Scrooge, said the gentleman, taking up a pen, it is more than usually desirable that we should make some slight provision for the poor and destitute, who suffer greatly at the present time. Many thousands are in want of common necessities. Hundreds and thousands are in want of common comforts, sir. Are there no prisons? Asked Scrooge. Plenty of prisons, said the gentleman, laying down the pen again. And the union workhouses? Demanded Scrooge. Are they still in operation? They are, still, returned the gentleman. I wish I could say they were not. The treadmill and the poor law are in full vigor, then, said Scrooge. Both very busy, sir. "Oh, I was afraid, from what you said at first, that something had occurred to stop them in their useful course," said Scrooge. "I'm very glad to hear it." "Under the impression that they scarcely furnish Christian cheer of mind or body to the multitude," returned the gentleman, "a few of us are endeavoring to raise a fund to buy the poor some meat and drink and means of warmth. We choose this time because it is a time of all others when want is keenly felt and abundance rejoices. What shall I put you down for?" "Nothing," Scrooge replied. "So you wish to be anonymous?" "I wish to be left alone," said Scrooge. "Since you ask me what I wish, gentlemen, that is my answer. I don't make merry myself at Christmas, and I can't afford to make idle people merry. I help to support the establishments I have mentioned. They cost enough, and those who are badly off must go there. Many can't go there, and many would rather die." "If they would rather die," said Scrooge, "they had better do it, and decrease the surplus population. Besides, excuse me, I don't know that." "But you might know it," observed the gentleman. "It's not my business," Scrooge returned. "It's enough for a man to understand his own business, and not to interfere with other people's. Mine occupies me constantly. Good afternoon, gentlemen." Seeing clearly that it would be useless to pursue their point, the gentleman withdrew. Scrooge resumed his labors with an improved opinion of himself, and in a more facetious temper than was usual with him. Meanwhile, the fog and darkness thickened so that people ran about with flaring links, proffering their services to go before horses and carriages and conduct them on their way. The ancient tower of church, whose gruff old bell was always peeping slyly down at Scrooge out of a Gothic window in the wall, became invisible and struck the hours and quarters in the clouds with tremulous vibrations afterwards, as if its teeth were chattering in its frozen head up there. The cold became intense. In the main street, in the corner of the court, some laborers were repairing gas pipes, and had lighted a great fire in the brazier, round which a party of ragged men and boys were gathered, warming their hands and winking their eyes before the blaze in rapture. The water plug being left in solitude, its overflowing sullenly congealed, and turned to misanthropic ice. The brightness of the shops, where holly sprigs and berries crackled in the lamp heat of the windows, made pale faces ruddy as they passed. Poulterers' and grocers' trades became a splendid joke, a glorious pageant with which it was next to impossible to believe that such dull principles as bargain and sale had anything to do. The Lord Mayor, in the stronghold of the mighty mansion house, gave orders to his 50 cooks and butlers to keep Christmas as a lord's manor household should, and even the little tailor, whom he had fined 5 shillings on the previous Monday for being drunk and bloodthirsty in the streets, stirred up tomorrow's pudding in his garret, while his lean wife and the baby sallied out to buy the beef. Foggier yet, and colder. Piercing, searching, biting cold. If the good St. Dunstan had but nipped the evil spirit's nose with a touch of such weather as that, instead of using his familiar weapons, then indeed he would have roared to lusty purpose. The owner of one scant young nose gnawed and mumbled by the hungry cold as bones are gnawed by dogs. Stooped down at Scrooge's keyhole to regale him with a Christmas carol. But at the first sound of "God bless you, merry gentlemen, may nothing you dismay," Scrooge seized the ruler with such energy of action that the singer fled in terror, leaving the keyhole to fog and even more congenial frost. At length the hour of shutting up the counting-house arrived. With an ill will, Scrooge dismounted from his stool and tacitly admitted the fact that the expectant clerk in the tank, who instantly snuffed his candle out and put on his hat. "You'll want all day tomorrow, I suppose," said Scrooge. "If quite convenient, sir." "It's not convenient," said Scrooge, "and it's not fair. If I was to stop half a crown for it, you'd think yourself ill-used, I'll be bound." The clerk smiled faintly. "And yet," said Scrooge, "you don't think me ill-used when I pay a day's wages for no work." The clerk observed that it was only once a year. "A poor excuse for picking a man's pocket every 25th of December," said Scrooge, buttoning his great coat to the chin. "But I suppose you must have the whole day. Be here all the earlier next morning." The clerk promised that he would, and Scrooge walked out with a growl. The office was closed in a twinkling, and the clerk, with the long ends of his white comforter dangling below his waist, for he boasted no greatcoat, went down a slide on Cornhill at the end of a lane of boys 20 times in honor of its being Christmas Eve, and then ran home to Camden Town as hard as he could pelt to play at Blind Man's Buff. Scrooge took his melancholy dinner in his usual melancholy tavern, and having read all the newspapers and beguiled the rest of the evening with his banker's book, went home to bed. He lived in chambers which had once belonged to his deceased partner. They were a gloomy suite of rooms in a lowering pile of building up a yard where it had so little business to be that one could scarcely help fancying that it must have run there when it was a young house playing at hide and seek with other houses and forgotten the way out again. It was old enough now and dreary enough, for nobody lived in it but Scrooge, the other rooms being all let out as offices. The yard was so dark that even Scrooge, who knew its every stone, was fain to grope with his hands. The fog and frost hung so about the black old gateway of the house that it seemed as if the genius of the weather sat in mournful meditation on the threshold. Now, it is a fact that there was nothing at all particular about the knocker on the door, except that it was very large. It also had it is also a fact that Scrooge had seen it night and morning during his whole residence in that place. Also that Scrooge had as little of what is called fancy about him as any man in the city of London, even including, which is a bold word, the corporation, aldermen, and livery. Let it also be borne in mind that Scrooge had not bestowed one thought on Marley since his last mention of his 7 years dead partner that afternoon. And then let any man explain to me, if he can, how it happened that Scrooge, having his key in the lock of the door, saw in the knocker, without its undergoing any intermediate process of change, not a knocker, but Marley's face. Marley's face. It was not an impenetrable shadow, as the other objects in the yard were, but had a dismal light about it, like a bad lobster in a dark cellar. It was not angry or ferocious, but looked at Scrooge as Marley used to look, with ghostly spectacles turned up on its ghostly forehead. The hair was curiously stirred, as if by breath or hot air, and though the eyes were wide open, they were perfectly motionless. That, and its livid color, made it horrible, but its horror seemed to be in spite of the face and beyond its control, rather than a part of its own expression. As Scrooge looked fixedly at this phenomenon, it was a knocker again. To say that he was not startled, or that his blood was not conscious of a terrible sensation to which it had been a stranger from infancy, would be untrue. But he put his hand upon the key he had relinquished, turned it sturdily, walked in, and lighted his candle. He did pause with a moment's irresolution before he shut the door, and he did look cautiously behind it first, as if he had half expected to be terrified with the sight of Marley's pigtail sticking out into the hall. But there was nothing on the back of the door, except the screws and nuts that held the knocker on, and so he said pooh-pooh, and closed it with a bang. The sound resounded through the house like thunder. Every room above and every cask in the wine merchant's cellars below appeared to have a separate peal of echoes of its own. Scrooge was not a man to be frightened by echoes. He fastened the door and walked across the hall and up the stairs, slowly, too, trimming his candle as he went. You may talk vaguely about driving a coach and six up a good old flight of stairs, or through a bad young Act of Parliament, but I mean to say to you, you might have got a hearse up that staircase and taken it broadways, with the splinter bar towards the wall and the door towards the balustrades, and done it easy. There was plenty of width for that, and room to spare, which is perhaps the reason why Scrooge thought he saw a locomotive hearse going on before him in the gloom. Half a dozen gas lamps out in the street wouldn't have lighted the entry too well, so you may suppose that it was pretty dark with Scrooge's dip. Up Scrooge went, not caring a button for that. Darkness is cheap, and Scrooge liked it. But before he shut his heavy door, he walked through his rooms to see that all was right, and had just enough recollection of the face to desire to do that. Sitting room, bedroom, lumber room, all as they should be. Nobody under the table, nobody under the sofa, a small fire in the grate, spoon and basin ready, and a little saucepan of gruel. Scrooge had a cold in his head, upon the hob. Nobody under the bed, nobody in the closet, nobody in the in his dressing gown, which was hanging up in a suspicious attitude against the wall. Lumber room as usual, old fire guards, old shoes, 2 fish baskets, washing stand on 3 legs, and a poker. Quite satisfied, he closed his door and locked himself in. Double locked himself in, which was not his custom. Thus secured against surprise, he took off his cravat and put his dressing gown on and slippers and his nightcap, and sat down before the fire to take his gruel. It was a very low fire indeed, nothing on such a bitter night. He was obliged to sit close to it and brood over it before he could extract the least sensation of warmth from such a handful of fuel. The fireplace was an old one, built by some Dutch merchant long ago, all paved around with quaint Dutch tiles designed to illustrate the scriptures. There were Cain's and Abel's, Pharaoh's daughters, queens of Sheba, angelic messengers descending through the air on clouds like feather beds, Abraham's, Belshazzar's, apostles putting off to sea in butterboats, hundreds of figures to attract his thoughts. And yet that face of Marley, 7 years dead, came like the ancient prophet's rod, and swallowed up the whole. If each smooth tile had been blank at first, with the power to shape some picture on its surface from the disjointed fragments of his thoughts, there would have been a copy of old Marley's head on every one. "Humbug," said Scrooge, and walked across the room. After several turns, he sat down again. As he threw his head back in the chair, his glance happened to rest upon a bell, a disused bell that hung in the room, and communicated for some purpose now forgotten with a chamber in the highest story of the building. It was with great astonishment, and with a strange, inexplicable dread, that as he looked, he saw this bell begin to swing. It swung so softly in the outset that it scarcely made a sound, but soon it rang out loudly, and so did every bell in the house. This might have lasted half a minute, or a minute, but it seemed an hour. The bells ceased as they had begun, together. They were succeeded by a clanking noise deep down below, as if some person were dragging a heavy chain over the casks in the wine merchant's cellar. Scrooge then remembered to have heard that ghosts in haunted houses were described as dragging chains. The cellar door flew open with a booming sound, and then he heard the noise much louder on the floors below, then coming up the stairs, then coming straight toward his door. "It's humbug still," said Scrooge. "I won't believe it." His color changed, though, when, without a pause, it came on through the heavy door, and passed into the room before his eyes. Upon its coming, the dying flame leapt up, as though it cried, "I know him, Marley's ghost!" and fell again. The same face, the very same. Marley in his pigtail, usual waistcoat, tights and boots and tassels on the latter bristling, like his pigtail and his coat skirts, and the hair upon his head. The chain he drew was clasped about his middle. It was long and wound about him like a tail, and it was made, for Scrooge observed it closely, of cash boxes, keys, padlocks, ledgers, deeds, and heavy purses wrought in steel. His body was transparent, so that Scrooge, observing him and looking through his waistcoat, could see the 2 buttons on his coat behind. Scrooge had often heard it said that Marley had no bowels, but he had never believed it until now. No, nor did he believe it even now, though he looked the phantom through and saw it standing before him, though he felt the chilling influence of its death-cold eyes, and marked the very texture of the folded kerchief bound about his head and chin, which wrapper he had not observed before. He was still incredulous and fought against his senses. "How now?" said Scrooge, caustic and cold as ever. "What do you want with me?" "Much," Marley's voice, no doubt about it. "Who are you?" "Ask me who I was." "Who were you then?" said Scrooge, raising his voice. "You're particular, for a shade." He was going to say to a shade, but substituted this as more appropriate. "In life I was your partner, Jacob Marley." Can you sit down?" asked Scrooge, looking doubtfully at him. "I can." Do it, then. Scrooge asked the question because he didn't know whether a ghost so transparent might find himself in a condition to take a chair, and felt that in the event of its being impossible, it might involve the necessity of an embarrassing explanation. But the ghost sat down on the opposite side of the fireplace, as if he were quite used to it. "You don't believe in me," observed the ghost. "I don't," said Scrooge. "What evidence you have of my reality beyond that of your senses?" "I don't know," said Scrooge. "Why do you doubt your senses?" "Because," said Scrooge, "a little thing affects them, like a slight disorder of the stomach, that makes them cheats. You may be an undigested bit of beef, a blot of mustard, a crumb of cheese, a fragment of an underdone potato. There's more of gravy than of grave about you, whatever you are." Scrooge was not much in the habit of cracking jokes, nor did he feel in his heart by any means waggish then. The truth is that he tried to be smart as a means of distracting his own attention and keeping down his terror, for the spectre's voice disturbed the very marrow in his bones. To sit, staring at those fixed, glazed eyes in silence for a moment, would play, Scrooge felt, the very deuce with him. There was something very awful, too, in the spectre's being provided with an infernal atmosphere of its own. Scrooge could not feel it himself, but this was very clearly the case, for the ghost sat perfectly motionless. Its hair and skirts and tassels were still agitated by the hot vapor from an oven. "You see this toothpick?" said Scrooge, returning quickly to the charge for the reason just assigned, and wishing, though it were only for a second, to divert the vision's stony gaze from himself. "I do," replied the ghost. "You're not looking at it," said Scrooge. "But I see it," said the ghost, notwithstanding. "Well," returned Scrooge, "I have but to swallow this, and be for the rest of my days persecuted by a legion of goblins, all of my own creation. Humbug, I tell you, humbug!" At this, the spirit raised a frightful cry and shook its chain with such a dismal and appalling noise that Scrooge held on tight to his chair to save himself from falling in a swoon. But how much greater was his horror when the phantom, taking off the bandage round its head, as if it were too warm to wear indoors, its lower jaw dropped down upon its breast. Scrooge fell upon his knees and clasped his hands before his face. "Mercy!" he said. "Dreadful apparition, why do you trouble me?" "Man of the worldly mind," replied the ghost, "do you believe in me or not?" "I do," said Scrooge. "I must, but why do spirits walk the earth, and why do they come to me?" "It is required of every man," the ghost returned, "that the spirit within him should walk abroad among his fellow men, and travel far and wide, and if that spirit goes not forth in life, it is condemned to do so after death. It is doomed to wander through the world, oh woe is me, and witness what it cannot share, but might have shared on earth, and turned to happiness." Again the spectre raised a cry, and shook its chain and wrung its shadowy hands. "You are fettered," said Scrooge, trembling. "Tell me why." "I wear the chain I forged in life," replied the ghost. "I made it link by link, and yard by yard. I girded it on of my own free will, and of my own free will I wore it. Is its pattern strange to you?" Scrooge trembled more and more. "Or would you know," pursued the ghost, "the weight and length of the strong coil you bear yourself? It was full as heavy and as long as this 7 Christmas Eves ago. You have labored on it since. It is a ponderous chain." Scrooge glanced about him on the floor, in the expectation of finding himself surrounded by some 50 or 60 fathoms of iron cable, but he could see nothing. "Jacob," he said, imploringly. "Old Jacob Marley, tell me more. Speak comfort to me, Jacob." "I have none to give," the ghost replied. "It comes from other regions, Ebenezer Scrooge, and is conveyed by other ministers to other kinds of men. Nor can I tell you what I would. A very little more is all permitted to me. I cannot rest, I cannot stay, I cannot linger anywhere. My spirit never walked beyond our counting house. Mark me. In life, my spirit never roved beyond the narrow limits of our money-changing hole. and weary journeys lie before me." It was a habit with Scrooge, whenever he became thoughtful, to put his hands in his breeches pockets. Pondering on what the ghost had said, he did so now, but without lifting up his eyes or getting off his knees. "You must have been very slow about it, Jacob," Scrooge observed, in a businesslike manner, though with humility and deference. "Slow?" the ghost repeated. 7 years dead," mused Scrooge, "and traveling all the time?" "The whole time," said the ghost. "No rest, no peace, incessant torture of remorse." "You travel fast?" "On the wings of the wind," replied the ghost. "You might have got over a great quantity of ground in 7 years," said Scrooge. The ghost, on hearing this, set up another cry and clanked its chain so hideously in the dead silence of the night that the ward would have been justified in indicting it for a nuisance. "O captive bound and double ironed," cried the phantom, "not to know that ages of incessant labor by immortal creatures for this earth must pass into eternity before the good of which it is susceptible is all developed. Not to know that any Christian spirit working kindly in its little sphere, whatever it may be, will find its mortal life too short for its vast means of usefulness. Not to know that no space of regret can make amends for one's life's opportunity misused. Yet such was I, oh, such was I." "But you were always a good man of business, Jacob," faltered Scrooge, who now began to apply this to himself. "Business!" cried the ghost, wringing its hands again. "Mankind was my business. The common welfare was my business. Charity, mercy, forbearance, and benevolence were all my business. The dealings of my trade were but a drop of water in the comprehensive ocean of my business." It held up its chain at arm's length as if it were the cause of all its unavailing grief, and flung it heavily upon the ground again. "At this time of the rolling year," the spectre said, "I suffer most. Why did I walk through crowds of fellow beings with my eyes turned down, and never raise them to that blessed star which led the wise men to a poor abode? Were there no poor homes to which its light would have conducted me?" Scrooge was very much dismayed to hear the spectre going on at this rate, and began to quake exceedingly. "Hear me," cried the ghost. "My time is nearly gone." "I will," said Scrooge, "but don't be hard upon me. Don't be flowery, Jacob, pray." "How is it that I appear before you in the shape that you can see, I may not tell. I have sat invisible beside you many and many a day." It was not an agreeable idea. Scrooge shivered and wiped the perspiration from his brow. "That is no light part of my penance," pursued the ghost. "I am here tonight to warn you that you have yet a chance and hope of escaping my fate. A chance and hope of my procuring Ebenezer." "You were always a good friend to me," said Scrooge. "Thank ye." "You will be haunted," resumed the ghost, "by 3 spirits." Scrooge's countenance fell almost as low as the ghost's had done. "Is that the chance and hope you mentioned, Jacob?" he demanded, in a faltering voice. "It is." I think I'd rather not," said Scrooge. "Without their visits," said the ghost, "you cannot hope to shun the path I tread. Expect the first tomorrow when the bell tolls 1. "Couldn't I take 'em all at once and have it over, Jacob?" hinted Scrooge. "Expect the second on the next night at the same hour. The third upon the next night, when the last stroke of 12 has ceased to vibrate. Look to see me no more, and look that, for your own sake, you remember what has passed between us." When it had said these words, the spectre took its wrapper from the table and bound it round its head as before. Scrooge knew this by the smart sound its teeth made when the jaws were brought back together by the bandage. He ventured to raise his eyes again and found his supernatural visitor confronting him in an erect attitude, with its chain wound over and about its arm. The apparition walked backward from him, and at every step it took the window raised itself a little, so that when the spectre reached it, it was wide open. It beckoned Scrooge to approach, which he did. When they were within 2 paces of each other, Marley's ghost held up its hand, warning him to come no nearer. Scrooge stopped. Not so much in obedience as in surprise and fear, for on the raising of the hand he became sensible of confused noises in the air, incoherent sounds of lamentation and regret, wailings inexpressibly sorrowful and self-accusatory. The spectre, listening for a moment, joined in the mournful dirge and floated out upon the bleak, dark night. Scrooge followed to the window, desperate in his curiosity. He looked out. The air was filled with phantoms, wandering hither and thither in restless haste, and moaning as they went. Every one of them wore chains like Marley's ghost. Some few, they might be guilty governments, were linked together. None were free. Many had been personally known to Scrooge in their lives. He had been quite familiar with one old ghost in a white waistcoat with a monstrous iron safe attached to its ankle, who cried piteously at being unable to assist a wretched woman with an infant, whom it saw below upon a doorstep. The misery with them all was clearly that they sought to interfere for good in human matters, and had lost the power forever. Whether these creatures faded into mist, or mist enshrouded them, he could not tell. But they and their spirit voices faded together, and the night became as it had been when he walked home. Scrooge closed the window and examined the door by which the ghost had entered. It was double locked, as he had locked it with his own hands, and the bolts were undisturbed. He tried to say humbug, but stopped at the first syllable, and being from the emotion he had undergone, or the fatigues of the day, or his glimpse of the invisible world, or the dull conversation with the ghost, or the lateness of the hour, much in need of repose, went straight to bed without undressing, and fell asleep upon the instant. That would be the end of Stave 1. Ooh, and I just bumped the microphone really hard. Sorry for in advance for that noise. Not in advance. It's in advance for me because there's a delay. Whew. Okay. Hold on. Before we go any further, let me see what we got here. Fellow passenger to the grave is so metal. Yeah. Yeah, this book is full of fun little phrases like that. And we got, Spoopy Brew is here. Hello, Spoopy Brew. Yeah, feels like a Dio lyric. Absolutely. Fellow passenger to the grave. You could totally hear it. Made it, eating Mr. Cook from Lori on this quaint American traditional day. Welcome, Lord Ramsay. Welcome. It is a pleasure to see you once again. Darken the halls of Green Dragon Studios. Okay, let's see. And John, next week you got to bring gruel to the stream. I could probably do that. You know what? What I think is probably good, solid gruel today. Cream of wheat. Cream of wheat, if you make it a little on the runny side, solid gruel. If I'm not mistaken, it's usually like a very loose ground grain porridge. Next week you got it. Spoopy. Wait. Fellow passenger of the grave. Feels like a deal there. It sure should be a Jollyville reference. I don't know if Spoopy has ever seen Jollyville. How we doing on time? Oh, we're doing good. So, hang on. Let me catch up with some folks. I got to put names in the hat for those of you who showed up during the reading. We got. And also thank you. Sound is great. I'm glad the sound worked. Fellow passengers of the we've got Spoopy, which I got. All right, you're in there. And we've got the Ramses. All right. Awesome. yeah, yuck is right. No, so cream of wheat. Okay, so gruel. Depending on how you season it. All right, let's talk about corn. Let's talk about grits. Let's talk about grits for a second. No, I think gruel is a generic term, and I think it's like a loose porridge. You know what? We're here to learn. We're here to learn stuff. So let me get a definition of gruel. Gruel. Yeah, so a thin liquid food of oatmeal or other meal boiled in milk or water. Yeah, so it really is just a loose porridge. So, and I assume that could be wheat, corn, barley, whatever you have, thinned out, so that it goes further. And I think in Victorian times was often it's like the chicken noodle soup of Victorian era, right? Gruel was like that, regenerative health stuff. Like, yeah. So that's where I think that's coming from. And so fellow passenger to the grave. Yeah, man, that is good. That is metal. That is metal. Dickens is metal. Okay. So yeah, okay. Let's move this over here. Awesome. Now, what was I saying? I don't know. I can make some gruel. I don't know if I can keep it hot. Cold gruel, that's even worse. We were going to talk about grits, which if you thin out, that's another type of gruel. But so where I'm from, grits are pretty common. You can get them. Everybody's had them. But I don't know if everyone else, we've got a few states here up further north than me, but I don't know if anybody else has corn grits, has had grits, or if that's a thing where anyone else is. And then if you have had grits, the question is sweet or savory grits. Like, do you like sugar or do you like salt and garlic and seasoning in there? Because you can have them either way. Super versatile. Also, I always like to come back to the lobster in a dark cellar line. What a weird line, but a few years ago I looked it up. Put it in your milk. I could put it in my... Gross. Could you imagine me pour... I kind of have to now. So pour grits. I could just eat it out of that with a spoon. That's what I'll do. Okay, anyway. But the lobster in a dark cellar... So crustaceans, I guess, when they go bad, they can go bad in a certain way that is phosphorescent, and you can see them in the dark. They don't get super bright, but like you can see the decay they start to glow based on a certain bacteria or something. You live for savory grits. All right. I respect that. I can go either way. Like I do like grits in either fashion, sweet or savory. But I like oatmeal. I like sweet. Like I like a lot of butter and sugar in oatmeal, and I can do butter and sugar and grits, but I can also go savory grits. So what I should do let's see what we're getting up. We'll go about 10:30. But before we go, we're gonna do some trivia questions. So now these are just. I don't have my cards like the ones. I think I've had those for like 3 years, and I think we've been through them pretty much. Not that it would be a big deal because there's a year between them, but I don't like to repeat stuff if I can help it. Well, okay, I don't like to repeat stuff I say on my 6th year reading A Christmas Carol live. Certain things you can repeat, right? Like Christmas Carol, it bears repeating. But the same trivia questions, that you don't want to do that. You don't want to be that guy who's memorized all of the questions. Like, the guy who plays Trivial Pursuit, memorizes the questions, and knows. You don't want to be that guy. It's fine. Okay. You never put butter and sugar in oatmeal? What? Abby? No, yeah, you can get sweet grits or savory grits down here. Well, and in Tennessee, particularly, I'm not quite all the way to Tennessee, but down in Tennessee, it's definitely an option. That's where my family's from. But so you don't, so what do you, wait, what do you put in your oatmeal? Wait, do you eat oatmeal? And if you do, what do you put in your oatmeal? And that way, let's get the answer to this question, but then I'll ask a trivia question. I don't know if these aren't particularly, oh, this is good. Okay. I'm being selective of the ones that are at least a little bit of a challenge. But we'll get to that. But I gotta know what do you put in your oatmeal, if anything. And let's be clear, I'm talking about Quaker Oats, like rolled oatmeal, like oats. You gotta write. But if you buy the packets, like those usually come seasoned enough. You don't really have to put anything in those. But I'm talking about like plain oats, like, you know. Fruit, peanut butter, and cinnamon. Okay, so all right, now that's fine. Fruit, peanut butter, or cinnamon. So the fruit would be a natural sweetness, and that's nice. So would peanut butter. Maple syrup is legit. It's just a sweetening. It's just the same thing as like a sugar, something sweet to go in there. So I can get behind that. But the butter is actually super good. The butter gives it a little bit of complexity. Yeah, I'm not talking about like 2 tablespoons, but like, a pat of butter and a little bit of sugar. Cinnamon is good. Brown sugar is better than not granulated sugar if you can help it. Brown sugar is better, which is approaching that molasses, maple, that kind of stuff. Yeah, no, I prefer just the plain, but I'm not going to say I don't eat the packets. I'm not saying that. PB slaps on a burger. Yeah, there's a place here called the Peddler, and they have a PB&J burger that's pretty good. I haven't been there in a while, but it's good. It's tasty. Here, okay, I'm gonna ask. Here's a trivia question, and as always, the way this works, first person to get the correct answer into the chat is the one who goes in the hat. So first in the chat, next in the hat. Man, put that on a t-shirt. First in the chat, next in the hat. Yeah. So here's your question. And I can't police this. If you want to Google stuff, that's fine. Or maybe you know it. If you know it, great. I can't police it. I'm just saying. Once I read this though, first person get it in the chat. I don't care how you do it. Here we go. The movie Miracle on 34th Street is based on a real-life department store. What is it? What is the real-life department store on which Miracle on 34th Street is based? Oh, hey, there it is. All right. That would be Liz. Oh, hey, and I don't think I saw you before. If you're there under yourself, okay. Look at you. That is correct. Macy's is correct. Oh, wait, no. Crows is in. Shoot. Wait a minute. Crows is the first. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's fine. I'm sorry. But yes, Crosa beat you by just a second. Your feed is delayed by many minutes. I did notice your reply was a little slow in coming, but I assumed everybody was having. I'm sorry, Liz. I'm sorry, Liz, but congratulations, Crosa. And oh, geez. Yeah, there's definitely, okay. There is a serious delay. You do. That's super cool. So the Lunatics live in New York City, and it's fun. We were talking to the other day, texting, and like I am impressed and how you make use of space, and I need to know how you make use of space, because we got to talk. What is this going to be? We're going to talk about it right here, but we got to talk about it. I want a floor plan of your apartment. I want to see how you set up things, because I think it could help me here. Down here in Southern Ohio on out into the Midwest, we have lots of space, but I want to use it better. So I need to talk to you. Okay. 55. Hit the live at the bottom left corner of the video. It will catch you up. Is that right? Interesting. Yeah. So, I mean, I can't refresh mine, I don't think. I have an idea. I'm looking at my YouTube studio over here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to see what my delay actually is on the stream. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have a 5-second delay. The live button works. Okay. Well, then everybody get caught up. Everybody hit their live buttons. Everybody catch up. And then I'll ask the next question because I can't do trivia if we've got a huge delay like that. I feel bad. Oh. Who wants to see what this peppermint stick is all about? Because I am dying to know what we got in here. I don't know if this is like traditional peppermint, if it's just going to be like standard peppermint, or if it's going to be some kind of unique thing. Oh, it's quite lovely. This is that Cuban peppermint? I don't have my peppermint cutter. Well, you'll do a tour? I want to come on the tour. Yeah, let's do the tour. Okay, I'm going to break this in half to test its solidity. Solidity? Yeah. Oh, it's quite soft. Okay, good. All right, so I kind of... Well, it was soft in one spot and it's not in the others. 10 out of 10 cigar jokes. Oh, ow. I didn't want to keep it in my mouth forever because you can't talk. Okay. That's very good peppermint. Not too strong. Not too weak. It's somewhere between King Leo peppermint sticks for softness and like your standard candy cane. It's a little of both. It has soft spots. It's really weird. Anyway. Okay. Yeah, cigar jokes. Okay, so is the delay looking better? Okay, sticking. Wait, I'm doing TikTok influencer like. Okay. The delay is better. Here's a non-Christmassy one. Actually, it's sort of related because there was a Home Alone question that I'm going to ask next. But it's not hard enough to be hard candy, but it's also harder than I expected it, and I don't want to keep the big piece of candy in my mouth, so we're kind of hurrying. Anyway, here's a non-Christmas, a sort of adjacent question. And this is legit. So first person to get this gets their name in the hat. Do you know Macaulay Culkin's middle name? First person to get that up there. No. No, it is not John. It's not Jonathan. This is gonna... No. His legal middle name. No, Kieran's his brother. Correct. Lord Ramsay. Correct. Macaulay Culkin's middle name is Macaulay Culkin. So his full name is Macaulay Culkin. Which he, I guess, did on a dare. Like he had people pick his middle name because he wanted it to be spicier than whatever it was before, which was like Anthony or something. I don't know. But he changed his name to a crowd-sourced middle name, which was Macaulay Culkin. Macaulay Culkin. And so who we got? Yeah, we got Rob. We got that. Let me get the ticket out here. I think Rob Ramsey sounds amazing. Okay, so All right. So there you go. You got your name in there for that one. The follow-up question to that is actually a Home Alone question. Or be mom. Turkey key. I can't even say that. At first my brain had to check it to make sure I could say it on a family show. Turkey key. Okay. Here's the Home Alone question. In Home Alone, where are the McAllisters going on vacation when they leave Kevin behind? Where are they going? Boom, Crosa. That would be Crosa. Now, does everyone feel like they got a good shot at that? Does the delay feel pretty solid? Because I want to make sure. Just checking in. Okay. I'm going to do a couple more. Let's see. I'll find something that's a little bit of a challenge. All right. Huh. I have no way to verify if this is true, but I will read it anyway. Excuse me. The first artificial Christmas tree was made from what? The first artificial Christmas tree was made from what? Nope. These are good guesses. These are like popular artificial tree materials. But we got... Okay. I'm gonna give that to, so it is specifically goose feathers, but I'm gonna give it to Rob for the feathers because that is correct. It is feathers. That is correct. I don't know how or why it was made out of goose feathers, but that's interesting. I didn't know that. Asbestos. That would be good. I think they did make. Did they ever make like the Christmas tree, like the flocking, like the snow flocking out of asbestos? Because that seems like a thing that would have happened. I got something in my mouth. It's like they did make it out of asbestos. That's yeah. Gather round, kids. That sounds like the 50s to me. That's and the thing is, in Germany, in response to D4. Okay, all right. Ugh. Now that I don't know what that is in my mouth. It's like a hair or a piece of plastic or something. Anyway, there is a thing it's like, I think it was the 40s or 50s, somewhere in the atomic age there, where there was I don't know if this is real, but I've seen it a couple of times, like the uranium playset that comes with like a little piece of a little bit of a radioactive isotope that you can play with and do experiments with. I kind of want one. I'm just saying. There was some dude who used to eat the depleted uranium pellets on TV to prove that it wasn't that dangerous. I don't know. But yeah, so the asbestos tree, that sounds good. All right, let's get one or two more here. You have a Geiger counter? I want a Geiger counter. Oh, Rob. That's good. I can borrow the Geiger counter. That's fantastic. I want to use it around my house. I want to use it on my friends and family. That's a pretty good Geiger counter, if you ask me. Does it do the clicks or does it just have like a needle? All right, we got needle. Okay, let's go. We don't. I guess you got to find something radioactive. You could test for uranium glass in antique shops. That's how you could do it. I would like a piece of uranium glass. Okay, I started doing this thing last year that I'm going to continue, but it's like you can buy these little cubic centimeters of the elemental metals and things like that. I've got a little display. I'll have to sometime, maybe on the stream I'll do it, but it's like a little cubic centimeter and you can put it in. And then there are some of the elements where you can only have them in a glass vial because they're either so volatile or they're dangerous to breathe or whatever it is. Like the gases and things like that. But you can't really get any of the radioactive ones except for they do make, they make a depleted uranium one. Like the government or who, I forget where they're allowed to sell a certain amount of it a year. Like they can't sell a lot of it. They're allowed to sell. And so usually it's like that for mementos and like these little things. So behind and it's pretty cool. But they're super hard to get a hold of and they're like super expensive. So it won't happen. But, do I have cobalt? I do have cobalt. I have cobalt and I don't have gold. Now you can buy a cubic centimeter of gold, but that is ridiculously expensive. But the alternative is you can get that in one of the ampules and it's like mineral oil with a few flakes of gold that way. So that's much cheaper. But I do have cobalt. I will get it. I only have a few of them right now, but I'm working on collecting them. So it's pretty fun. I forget the name of the website, but I'll actually hang on. What is it called? Element cubes. I can find it. I'll know it when I see it. Luciteria Science. Here we go. Copy. Can I paste this in? I'm gonna paste this into the chat. Super fun. There you go. So that's where I started mine. So anyway, let's do one more trivia question before we head out here. It is 10:41 and you guys have had a long day and are likely full of turkey and would like to take a nap. One more question. These are all super easy. This is okay. This is fun. This is for anybody who's interested in maybe math. I don't know. Somebody's going to nail this. Okay, so here goes. I can't wait. How many gifts in total were given in the 12 days of Christmas? How many gifts in total were given in the 12 days of Christmas song? Nope. You can't count this on one hand, that's for sure. Correct, Kyle. You have correct. 364. It is 364. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5. You know how. Yeah. Well done, Kyle. So, Kyle, you get 364. All right. That would be, you actually did that math once? Yeah. So that sounds like something, knowing you, that sounds like something that you just fixated on once and just had to get it done. Just had to get it out of your head. You just had to do it. I know how that goes. Anyway, I think this went well. A song about illegal bird trading. Yeah. All right, folks. So does that count each time they're sung? Does it count each time there's, I think it's the partridge that's the gift, right? The partridge is, I don't know. So that is 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus 7 plus 8 plus 9 plus 10 plus 11 plus 12. We don't get to keep the tree. Is it for every day? Yeah. So I don't know. I'm amazed that you got the answer so quickly. No, it is. No, wait. No, it is. Yes, it isn't. Each time they're sung. Wait. It's just some of them all. Hold on. Oh, so like. Okay, so it's the sum every verse. Because like. I have this. Yeah. But I don't know if you guys have number pads. Last day's like 80 gigs. Yeah. So this is my number pad, which is also a calculator that I have for my PC, and I love it very much. But I can it's also got, you hit the calculator and it's got the little calculator. It's big and clunky and I love it. That's so true. It is the friends we made along the way. It is the birds that pooped on us along the way. There are so many birds. There are birds everywhere. There's one particular performance of the 12 Days of Christmas. And well, I've seen it a few times done this way, but it's like, so it takes a lot of kids to do it, because you dress the kids up in their costumes for each day of Christmas. And then as the days of Christmas are sung, each day the kids run across like a stage. So you got like the Partridge and Pear Tree, they run across, and then 2 turtle doves, Partridge and Pear Tree. And they're just, by the end, it's just so many kids just back and forth trying not to kill each other. And it's hilarious. You got to find that performance. I don't know if there's one out there on YouTube, but it's hilarious. Anyway, Ziggy from Quantum Leap references are welcome in my chat. So it is 10:47 and I am going to call that for the evening. But thank you all for being here this week. So next Thursday night, 9:00, we'll be here for Stave 2. And it has been great to have everybody here. And I think we got a good start on the hat. By the end, we should have ourselves a pretty good stack of stuff. So thank you all, folks. It's been absolutely great. Let's do this again. And I got to say the thing before I go. I got to say the traditional thing. But before I say the thing, everybody have a happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy your weekend. Be safe, be cozy, all that stuff. And can't wait to see you next time. And yes, Abby, house tour sometime. Got to see how you guys use the space. Dying to know what it's like. I'm going to say the thing. Here goes the thing. I got to think. It's been a while since I said the thing. John, your host. Yes, I'm John, your host. No. So hang on. So that was okay. Thank you for thank you. I know the very end. I know the thing, but I got to get into it. Well, anyway. That was Stave 1 of A Christmas Carol, Year 6 by Charles Dickens. Here we go. Thanks for listening, and I'll talk to you once upon a next time. Good night.